Thank you, Jenna. Welcome. We are happy to have you've taken time out of your day to join us for the Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering Graduate Admissions Virtual Information Session. Today, this presentation is being brought to you by the Graduate Program Leadership Team for the program. Joseph Kasperzik is our Associate Professor and Associate Chair for Graduate Studies. He is on our call today. My name is Deanne Sylvester, and I am the Graduate Program Manager. And Jenna Rodriguez is also joining us. She is our Graduate Program Specialist. Jenna and I are the faces behind the CEAE grad advising email box. So you email that email address, you are getting in contact with one of us. We both will be looking at your questions and one of us will respond. I'll take a moment to let Joseph say hello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this information session, and we hope to answer questions about the application process today, as well as anything else you want to know about. And then we're going to be doing an in-person visit day targeted at people who have been accepted into the program on March 1st. So that will be another opportunity for you to touch base with us, and we'll do that in person. And so really happy to be here, and thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thanks, Joseph. So let's just dive right in here. CEAE is short for Civil, Architectural, and Environmental Engineering. Why choose graduate studies at CEAE at CU Boulder? CEAE educates students to become leaders in the professional practice of engineering, contributing to technological advances that benefit humankind while enhancing the Earth's physical and biological resources. We are the number 10 best public civil engineering graduate program by U.S. News and World Report for 2023. We're number 10 best public graduate engineering school, U.S. News and World Report 2023. We have 54 program faculty that you could choose to work with. We currently have 15 NSF graduate research fellowships since 2018. We have 4 National Academy of Engineering inductees. We have $15.6 million in new contract and grant funding in 2022. 90% of CU Boulder engineering graduate students report being satisfied or very satisfied with their experience as a graduate student. And there are collaborations with national labs and research centers, including NOAA, NCAR, and the Bureau of Reclamation. Joseph, do you have anything to add to this slide?
No, yeah, I think that the collaborations with just a couple of highlights. I think that one of the things that's really great about this department is that it's definitely on the larger side. You know, you've got a lot of different faculty members, great people to build, say, a dissertation committee and that kind of thing. We have a lot of interesting classes that are on offer and stuff, and there's certain opportunities that you get from being in a big program. And then the National Lab and Research Center stuff, really there is a great sort of proximal location of NOAA laboratories, NCAR, Bureau of Reclamation. I'm currently sitting in an office where there are Bureau of Reclamation colleagues down the hallway, and so there's a lot of those kinds of opportunities that come from being at this place, even apart from your advisor or your specific personal plan. Just being at this kind of institution is a really nice thing.
Thank you. Okay, so now for the next portion of our presentation, we're going to go over the application process. This might be stuff that you already know about or have already seen on our website, but I just want to make sure you have all of the details and just check in to see if you have any questions about any parts of the process. So let's just begin here with the application process. Just so you're reminded, all applications must be submitted through the CU Graduate School admissions portal. And you can access the application at this website. And when you get to the page, it will look similar to the screenshot below. That is how you'll know if you're at the right place. You will have to create an account. And once you do that, you'll be able to submit your application. Please note that your application must be complete and fully submitted before it can be processed and undergo review. Okay, so this is going to describe a little bit about of our department setup, and I will hand it over to Joseph to describe this portion.
Yeah, thank you so much. And so, yeah, I just wanted to emphasize the point that really, I know a lot of you folks, have been contacting professors, and it's great. We'll talk a little bit more about the contacting professors part in a bit, but basically we are only considering folks that have a formal application in the system. And the first thing that you'll see after you provide your personal information in the system is this kind of choice of degree option. And that is actually broken down into 3 different layers. And the first layer is which department or program that you choose. And so there's the Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering department. That's one of the choices. And then the Environmental Engineering program is another choice in that first top-down menu. That is including things like history and English and mechanical engineering and all that stuff, right? So there's 2 different things at the top level that we're involved in. And so today we're focusing primarily on civil engineering and architectural engineering degrees. That's the second level of the hierarchy. Which degree do you want? Partly because our friends in the environmental engineering program have a separate info session that's going to be on November 16th. And there are different options for environmental engineering that aren't listed here, but you can see them in the application. So then for civil and architectural engineering, architectural engineering basically offers a doctorate, a master's, and a professional master's, and they're in the process of updating their professional master's curriculum. But for now, basically there are just those 3 options. For civil engineering, we've got a master's, a doctorate, and a professional master's degree. And the master's and doctorate have these different subplan options, which are the ones in black colored text are the traditional options that are represented by the big research groups in the department: construction engineering and management, geotechnical engineering and geomechanics, hydrology, water resources and environmental fluid mechanics, and structural engineering and structural mechanics. And then the ones that are in gold, not a huge distinction, but these are the kind of more interdisciplinary programs. So civil systems engineering, engineering science, geoenvironmental engineering. And then on the professional master's degree side, we have this interesting new option called dual track, where you can pick classes from different disciplines, basically. And then the 2 degrees that are oriented towards global engineering and then water engineering and management. And that is a kind of separate program from the other hydrology, water resources, and environmental fluid mechanics. All of this stuff is outlined on our website, but the reason why this is important to talk about is that graduate applications occur in these kinds of buckets, right? In other words, if you apply to geotechnical engineering and geomechanics, there's a specific group of people that read your application and make the decision and that kind of thing. And we'll talk about that throughout the course of the slides that we're working on. But to make a long story short, right, you have to pick the degree or the department and program first, and then you see the degree and the subplans. And it is important to kind of pick properly. And if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to us. I'll put the email address in the chat as well.
Thank you. So as Joseph mentioned, there are different representatives that represent each of the subplans for our department. These are the people who are involved in recruitment and admissions for the various subplans, and I will just give you a brief introduction to them. Amelia Saloza is our representative for construction, engineering, and management. George Hearn is our representative for structural engineering and structural mechanics. Kylie Baker is our representative for architectural engineering and civil systems engineering. Aditi Bhaskar is our representative for hydrology, water resources, and environmental fluid mechanics. Shrikant Madhabushi is our representative for geotechnical engineering and geomechanics and geoenvironmental engineering. I'm not sure if we have anybody for environmental engineering on our call today, but Joseph Ryan is our representative for environmental engineering.
Yeah, Joe's Professor Ryan is here. So, and then I also wanted to just say I'll write it in the chat as well. So Professor Baker couldn't make it today, and she has two representatives subbing in for her, and we're really appreciative of them taking the time to do that. Professor Amy Javernick-Will is representing civil systems engineering, and then Professor Gregor Henza is representing architectural engineering.
Good morning.
Okay, so we will move right along to the application requirements. You must have a 3.0 undergraduate GPA. Applicants who cannot meet this undergraduate standard may still secure regular admission if you have completed 9 semester hours of relevant graduate coursework at least a 3.25 average. You must have 3 letters of recommendation, at least 2 of which must be, at least 2 of which we prefer to have as academic references. If you have not already been in an academic setting, you may use professional references such as managers, clients, etc. We also do require a CV or resume, unofficial transcripts. So all unofficial copy of your transcripts from all undergraduate and graduate institutions that you have attended. This includes community colleges, summer sessions, and extension programs. And most importantly, we do not require the GRE. I'm going to ask Joseph to speak a little bit about who you should consider for your letters of recommendation, like who are strong people to put those recommendations in for you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. I would say that for folks that are in a research or are looking to do research in graduate school in the master's or the PhD, we really want to see recommenders that can attest to your ability to work on, research, of course, but also even just large projects, or, to kind of talk about your technical skills and your organizational skills and that kind of thing. Folks that know you really well, obviously, are very good. But I would say that, having a mix of recommendation letters from different sources is nice. And definitely making sure that there are some academic letters of recommendation if you have them, partly because, folks that are in academia already are familiar with how these letters go and with what are the things that are the most kind of helpful to have in there. I would say as well, like related to your CV or resume, specificity is really important. So, like if you have, for example, given a conference presentation somewhere, what is the title of it? Who were the authors? Where was it located? Right? If you've published papers, obviously the full bibliographic information. Just anything that can help us get a picture of what you have done that especially is related to facts, right? So like which jobs you had or which projects you worked on and so forth. That will really help us kind of build a picture of your application and help us review you.
Thanks, Joseph. Continuing on with application requirements, international applicants must provide a TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo score if English is not your native language. Required scores for each English proficiency exam are TOEFL is a 90, IELTS is 7.0, and Duolingo is 120. The English proficiency requirement will be waived if you have completed at least 1 year of full-time study at a U.S. institution or at an institution in the country where English is the native language at the time you apply, and within 2 years from your desired admission term. In limited cases, an alternative proof of English proficiency can be filed with the faculty advisor's support. Continuing on to the application requirements, we do require a personal statement of no more than 2 pages. This is where a student can outline their interests, future goals, and how their prior experiences have prepared and motivated them to pursue a graduate degree from CU Boulder. We do have some prompt questions that we've added to our application that can give you an idea as to what we're looking for in this personal statement, but I'm also going to ask Joseph to give us some more pointers.
Yeah, and I noticed that there was a question. Why don't we field the question now, because maybe that'll help figure out what I would like to talk about here.
Sure.
Go ahead, Samuel.
Yes, go ahead, Samuel.
Samuel, you can unmute yourself if you'd like and ask the question, or you can type it in chat.
And there are a couple of other questions in the chat, so I'll just go ahead and start.
So actually, let's go back. Deanne, can you go back a slide to the international English discussion?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and so there was a question, I got a 6.5. Does that mean I'm ineligible? And the visa requirements, Deanne, can you kind of briefly summarize like how these test scores are used from the visa perspective?
Yes. Due to visa requirements, we are constrained to these scores for our English proficiency requirements. Our international office will not be able to submit your I-20 if you do not meet these scores.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, and then there was another question. Is it required to have a master's degree for the PhD programs? It is not required to have a master's degree, but the PhD applications are, are very competitive. And so there has to be in almost all cases, there has to be an identified research advisor that wants to support your application with funding, or at least support your application in general. And so, so that is kind of up to the individual groups to determine. And so we'll talk a little bit about the application review process after we get done with these requirements. And at that point, it will become clear kind of how we look at the applications once they arrive. Samuel, last call. I don't know if you know that you have your hand raised, but please. Okay, so Samuel please type your question, or and we can lower your hand, and then just to alleviate confusion. So there was a question about how you find a supervisor, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And there was also a question of what percentage of those accepted are international students. I'm not sure if we have do we release that information?
We do not have that information.
Yeah. Okay, so let's can you switch the slide, and I'll get into the personal statement a little bit. Okay. And actually the personal statement kind of addresses a little bit like Joshua's question about, please, how do I locate a supervisor? And so, we basically we are getting these applications and we're reading them holistically, and we're trying to get a sense for who is the best fit for our programs. And you can help us in that regard by giving us the most kind of specific and helpful information that you can. And so for this application cycle, we actually have these kind of recommended prompt questions for the personal statement. Now, you're not required to address any of these things, but the more information that you can provide us that's in a kind of a targeted way, the better off that we'll be. And so if you think about kind of broadly, what inspired you to pursue a degree in this field, and how does your background prepare you for success in the program? And so that can be something somewhat personal, I suppose, if you want to, but just really kind of setting the stage for how you came to be interested in the topic that you want to study. The second thing is that what specific areas of research or practice. And so this is one in which naming these subplans and really talking about your understanding of what it is that you're applying to can help you. And sometimes we see people may, should belong in maybe one of the other degrees or one of the other programs, and we can help you navigate that. But it's helpful to be specific about what it is that you're looking to do when you write your personal statement. And then question 3 is quite important. You want to name specific names of professors that you would be interested in working with if you're interested in a thesis, okay? And what that will do is that will help us identify who should read your application. And again, we'll talk about the application review process in a little bit. And then the rest of it is really just giving us evidence to show that you're going to be successful in this program. Professional accomplishments, career aspirations, and then we're also interested in the diversity of our application or of our applicant pool. And so there's this other prompt basically that is asking you to talk about diversity, and that prompt is optional, but that's on this list as well.
Thank you, Joseph. Okay, the next slide is detailing the application fee. The domestic application fee is $60. This fee can be paid online when you submit your application using your credit card or electronic check. International application fee is $80. If you do not live in the US or have a US bank account, paying by credit card is your best option. If you do not have a credit card or prefer not to pay that way, your next best option is to send an international money order made payable to the University of Colorado. Application fees are due at the application deadline. And please note that your application will be withdrawn by the graduate school if the payment is not received within 2 weeks of the submission deadline, which is December 1st. Application fee waivers. PhD applicants, U.S. citizens or permanent residents with an undergraduate GPA of 3.4 or higher who apply before November 15th, 2023 will automatically have the application fee waived. For international applicants that are interested in an MS or PhD program, you may apply for an application fee waiver, but you must meet certain criteria to qualify. If you would like to request an application fee waiver, please reach out to our grad advising team at the ceaegrad.advising@colorado.edu, and we will send you more information on how to apply for this waiver. Deadlines. The fall admission deadline is December 1st at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The application portal will allow you to submit once all of your required information has been entered into the application. The application does not reach faculty until your recommendation letters, English proficiency scores, if applicable, and application fee are received. Check the application portal for admission updates. Our faculty review of applications is an ongoing process. So if there is no decision listed in the portal, that means your application is still under review. You will be notified by email once a decision has been posted to your application.
So I can handle this. I can handle this one, Dan. And so, like we said, so I think that it's really important to make sure that you hit the deadline, and realize that we're getting in dozens and dozens of applications, and so it's going to take us some time to kind of go through them, but that you are going to be notified, through the admissions portal of whether that what the decision is. And so you've submitted this information, and as we mentioned, actually go back real quick. I just wanted to kind of emphasize the fact that oh, you're going the wrong way. Okay, so that basically there's required information that you have to put in, and that is due by the deadline, but then we don't actually see the rest of the application until other things are received, such as the recommendations, the English proficiency, and the application fee. And so all of that stuff has to go in, and it's being collated by the graduate school. And so there's a question in the chat: will it allow submission of an application before the recommendations are submitted? And yes, that's true. It will. You have to name the people that you want to have the submissions. But like they could technically have time to finish their letter. If they don't do it until after December 1st, that's okay. But we won't see your application until they do it. Okay, and so then for application fee waivers, we already covered that. And so email the advising link if you want more information. And keep in mind, of course, that the application fee waivers don't say anything about whether you're going to get funding or whether you're going to get accepted. So just because you have an application fee waiver, it doesn't mean that you're going to get into the program, right? And so that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so go to the next slide, please. Okay, so as I mentioned, the graduate school is going to review the submission to ensure that all the required materials are included. And at that point in the slate system, it gets triggered that now the faculty members are going to see it. And so the smiling people on the previous slide that were the representatives of the different subplans are the ones that are going to lead that application process of the lead the process of reviewing your application. Okay, and so that's why we have been talking about the application materials to get a holistic view of your eligibility and decide on whether you're fit for admission. The other thing that is different about our program compared to maybe some others is the idea that we have an admission letter, that's item 4, that is going to tell you whether you have gotten into the program or not. Right, so whether you have been accepted or not, but that will not have information about research funding. So the research funding offers are given in a separate letter, a second letter that that if you are going to get funding, you receive that later. Okay, and if you get a funding offer before April 15th, you have until April 15th to decide whether you accept that. And part of the reason for that is that we know that you guys are applying to multiple universities, right? And so it's designed to not allow one university to kind of try to, undercut the other university and, make you make a decision by a certain date. So universities in the United States, almost all of them obey that April 15th deadline. So. And so then for funding, we are considering you for funding when you apply. And keep in mind that the selection process is highly competitive. So not all of you will receive financial support, unfortunately. And then PMP students are ineligible for financial support because that's a professional degree. And so there are different ways that people fund their degrees. A teaching assistantship. We're already looking at you for a teaching assistantship, and there's nothing else that you need to do. There's a limited number of those that are available through a competitive selection process. For research assistantships, those are mostly controlled by individual faculty members. And if you mention a person in your personal statement, they will be made aware of your application. You of course, are allowed to contact faculty directly, but we can't respond individually to each request for funding. And so just keep that in mind, we get literally hundreds of these requests. And so the best way for you to get yourself in front of us is to apply through the formal system. Okay. Finally, if you have external funding of your own, indicate that in your personal statement. We have people apply to the NSF Graduate Research Fellowship Program, and there are some other opportunities. Those are for domestic students. But that's kind of what the funding landscape is.
Okay, we are now at the end of our program, so we can open it up to questions if anybody has any.
There's a question about is it possible to apply if an applicant does not meet one admission requirements, a GPA of 2.4 out of 4 with the requirement of 3.0 out of 4? This is a great question. You are allowed to apply, but and there is this provisional admission process that we do sometimes where someone has a GPA that's lower than the requirement and we can make an exception. However, like we want to make sure that you're successful in the program. And so if we think that that low GPA indicates that you might struggle, I mean, we're going to take that into consideration. The best thing that you can do is basically help tell us why you were a good fit for this program in your personal statement and making sure that your CV and your resume are up to date. Okay, there was a person, and this person has their hand raised, asking about the master's transcript after the application deadline date. That might be a good one for you, Deanne.
Yeah. Unfortunately, once you submit your application, you cannot add any materials or edit anything in the application. So you would not be able to add that transcript after the application deadline, but you can certainly submit an unofficial transcript that might not have your degree officially on it, but it might have like your in progress coursework. So our faculty would still be able to see that.
So Deanne, I'm going to have to step out, unfortunately, but so can you handle the rest of the Q&A?
Yes, thank you so much, Joseph. Thanks for joining us and all of your valuable information. Thank you. Okay, let's see. We'll field a couple of more of these questions. Can I apply directly without getting the response from my supervisor? Yes. We do encourage for you to apply even if you do not have a supervisor. As Joseph mentioned earlier, we do know that faculty are very busy at this time and they do receive a very high volume of inquiries, and so they may not be able to get back to you. But please go ahead and apply without that direct contact. Unfortunately, there's a question here. Will we be automatically considered for the application fee waiver for those who are in attendance at the session? Unfortunately, we do not have the capability to do that. So if you do not meet the 3.4 domestic requirement to have your application automatically waived or the fee automatically waived, you can reach out to the CU grad advising email and we can assist you with submitting an application to get a fee waiver. My transcripts are written in both French and English. Do I need to upload a fully translated version English in my application? Yes, we do require for you to upload the English translated transcripts to your application. One more, I completed my master's program at CU Boulder and plan to pursue my PhD. Oh, can I meet with you one-on-one? Please email the grad advising box and we can set something up. I will take one more and then we'll have to go to the next section of our program. Actually, I think I answered everything, so we will move on to the next slide. So thank you all for attending our session. If you have any questions or anything else that you would like to have addressed, please email the CEAE grad advising email box, and we will, assist you from there. We're now going to be opening up breakout rooms, and these are set up per subplan. So please join the appropriate room for your application at this time. If you're not sure which room to join, please remain in the main room, and we can assist you with that. So if anybody needs any assistance getting into a room, please let us know.
I do, Deanne. I don't know which room I should be in.
You should be in the room for architectural.
I currently am not. Is there another link I need to follow?
It's breakout rooms within.
Got it. Yeah, I see it now. Quick, there is. I just got this from Kyrie. Zoom link. No, wait a second. Breakout group.
I think I can assign you them.
Yeah, we can assign you.
Where do I miss this, guys? Oh, breakout sessions down here. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna assign you to the room right now, Gregory, or.
I think you should be invited. There you go.
Yeah, okay. I see some people are still in the main room. Would you like to join the session?